So welcome everyone and congratulations on receiving your round 19 affordable materials grants, whether they are transformation grants or continuous improvement grants. These grants have significantly changed in the last year. So this is our second round of the total redesign of the grant program. But we are really excited to see all of your projects. Your proposals were amazing, and we were really pleased with the number of proposals and quality of proposals that we received this round, even given the bizarre times that we live in right now. My name's Tiffany. I am the program manager at Affordable Learning Georgia. Jeff, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Gallant, the program director of Affordable Learning Georgia. Hi, everybody.
And we are gonna have you guys all introduce yourselves in a little bit. We're gonna go through. Someone can't see anything. You don't see a share or anything like that, Dr. Zahn? You can hear me.
I can hear everything. It just says waiting for others to join.
Huh.
It just keeps saying that.
Are you on the desktop app?
I can see your coffee cup. Is that what we're supposed to be seeing?
I'm on a laptop.
Okay. So you may have clicked on the web link and you're using the web version. Did you happen to dial in?
No, I just clicked on the link that you guys gave us.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly send a link out here for you.
Okay, yeah, let me click again. It just says waiting for others to join.
Okay, so this is the download link to download the actual desktop app for Microsoft Teams. That works a lot better than going through the web version, especially if you're on something like Chrome, which doesn't always work very well with Teams itself. So opening up the Teams app yeah, exactly what Dr. Siva says here, going to the calendar and just opening the event, that'll get you right into the meeting.
Yeah, if anyone else needs to go and do that, we do definitely recommend that you join us through the desktop app if you're able. It's going to have a lot more permissions than doing it through the web app. We see a lot of people that have issues with the web app.
Yeah.
Actually, while we're doing these little reminder things, I'll also remind everyone before we jump into our content today, when you join the meeting, Teams will most likely automatically turn your microphone on, and you definitely want to have your microphone on if you're going to be talking, but because we have a lot of people in this meeting, we want to avoid too much background noise and feedback, so you're going to want to keep your microphone off unless you are asking a question or speaking. And so if at some point in the meeting you get a notification where it says that the presenter or the moderator has turned off your microphone, that is just because it was left on accidentally, and we'll just do that to avoid too much background noise. So yeah, try to avoid turning it on unless you are going to be speaking. And if you find yourself speaking and realizing no one can hear you, then maybe check to make sure your mic is on. Let's see. We recommend headphones if you are in a I don't know, if you're not in a perfectly quiet room. Of course, I say that, and I am not personally wearing headphones like I should be. So, that will help. If you have headphones, it'll help avoid any kind of echoing or anything like that. But of course, if you don't have any, we'll make do without. Just do the best we can. Let's see. Am I forgetting any other reminders, Jeff?
No, I think it's okay. I think we can probably get going. A few people are going to be installing the app and restarting at this point, but it'll be a good test for them once we're moving along anyway.
Right. Okay. All right. So, like I said at the beginning when we first started recording, welcome. We're really excited to have you guys here. Congratulations on receiving your grants. Once again, I am Tiffany, and this is Jeff with me. We'll be going back and forth to do this presentation, and then we'll also, at one point during our meeting, have a split off into breakout groups session where we will all introduce ourselves, talk about our projects, maybe give each other feedback or recommendations. So you guys can kind of learn from other projects that might be similar to yours, or maybe that are totally different that you might get some really great ideas from. So we'll do that in a little bit. But to get us started, we are going to, we're actually going to first talk about ALG. What is ALG? Affordable Learning Georgia. So a lot of you guys have already completed the kickoff training, and thank you very much for getting on the ball with that. And I apologize for the minor issues we had with certifications earlier last night and this morning. I am proud to say that the certifications feature is back up and running. So if you haven't done that, try to get in there today or maybe early next week to complete that training. There's a lot of really great, important information in there. You'll learn all about ALG and the resources that are available to you from both the system office and on your campuses. And you'll also get some training on things like accessibility and open educational resources, which are, core aspects of these grants. So if you haven't done that already, don't forget about it. And, oh, good, Dr. Zahn. I'm glad you're able to see everything now. So I'm going to oh, we got some echo. Okay, I'm actually going to switch us over here real quick to a screen share where I'm going to pull up our website. So let me stop presenting and switch us to, oh, hello, we have some faces. Hi, Uli. Hi, Riel. That is the other thing too, if you're bothered, I don't know, it may not bother you, but feel free to have your webcam on or turn them off. Either way is fine. I'm going to switch us to screen share mode. You guys should be, now I see Jeff's face in the corner. So you guys should be seeing the ALG website now. So ALG stands for Affordable Learning Georgia, and we are an initiative of the University System of Georgia, dedicated to reducing the cost of education, mostly through reducing the cost of course materials and encouraging things like open educational resources, open pedagogy, library resources, affordable materials, so like low cost, homework platforms, things like that. Ultimately, that is our goal, is to reduce the cost through whatever means we have available to us. And so you'll see on our website, we've got three main buttons here, right smack in the middle. We've got some other things you can take a peek at, like calls and opportunities, which of course the round 19 request for proposals has passed now, but you'll see our newsletters and featured resources. You'll find some other things up here. But these three core pieces, if you click on Affordable Materials Grants, that's where you'll find all of the past grant rounds and their materials. So things that have been created in previous rounds, their proposals, their final reports, and also things that are still going. So we've got, a few rounds. I believe we've got still got people completing all the way back to round 15. I think we've got a few stragglers still even from that round that are still finishing up. I say stragglers, but that's probably a mean thing to call them. This is also where you'll find your Grantee Information Center, which Jeff is going to talk a little bit more about some of the grant processes and things a little bit later. But on this page, this is where you're going to find your final report materials, your semester status report materials. We will also post the recording from this training. So you've got a link to the asynchronous training, and then we will also post the recording from this one. It will replace this Teams link. So you'll find pretty much anything you need as far as the grant is concerned on this grantee information page. The other big button that I'm going to point out to you is the Open Educational Resources button, because that's going to show you our 2 repositories. So we have the Open ALG repository, which is our newer one, and that is one that we are currently transitioning into. So it's got a lot of the newer resources that have come out of grants, as well as some of the older ones that have been moved. But it doesn't necessarily have all of the really old materials from early grant rounds yet, because we're still working on that transition. Part of that is also making things accessible. So it's kind of a slow transition that we're making. But then Galileo Open Learning Materials is the sort of legacy repository that we have all of the materials from past grant rounds on, as well as proposals and things like that. And so if you look at the past grant rounds and you go to click on grant materials for, I don't know, like proposal 302, I don't know if that's a real number, but if you go to click on an older one, it would likely take you to a Galileo Open Learning Materials page where all of their materials are housed. And you'll also learn a little bit about both of these in the asynchronous training if you haven't done that already. So I'm not going to jump too far into those. I don't want to take up too much of our time talking about those. We also have some other sort of newer ventures that we're doing at ALG. So one of the things that we have tried to increase in the last year is professional development. And so that's where the asynchronous training came from. We used to do this kickoff meeting as a full day thing in Macon, Georgia, where everyone traveled and we all met in the same room, and we did some collaboration stuff. We met in person, we watched some presentations and things, we learned things. But between COVID and also sort of talking through some of the materials that we would talk about at previous kickoff meetings, we kind of realized that some of that stuff would be better provided as resources and materials that you could take your time on, like the accessibility tutorials. And then we do some of the it's like the grant material or the grant processes and things live like this together, where you guys can ask questions. But so that's one of the things that's come out of the new push on professional development. But we also have, under events, we have a featured speaker series that runs year round. So every month we have a new presenter from a past affordable materials grant. So we have them all archived as well. So you can see some of the ones from the past semester. We started these in fall 2020. You can go and watch some of the old videos, see what other teams have done, how their projects have turned out, maybe get ideas from them, or you can join us for some of the upcoming ones. So our next one's going to be on April 16th with a team that created an open textbook through a LibGuide. So I think a few of you guys proposed to work with LibGuides as well, and so that's something you could think about attending. Under open resources, we also have some additional resources. That's where you'll find those accessibility tutorials outside of the kickoff training. So you'll also find that under open resources on our website. You'll find some of the other tutorials and things. We also have that under help, and it's worth saying that we're currently in conversation to revise a little bit the navigation of the site. So some of these things may move, but we will be maintaining all of our resources and things. And we have a lot to offer here, so definitely recommend exploring a little bit. Take a look at your library resources. Librarians, instructional designers, and other professional staff have been just invaluable to ALG past grants and current grants. We've got some other tools for finding textbooks. I want to draw your attention to the Alg Champions page. Here you will find who your champions are on your campus. So every campus has a faculty champion. I say every campus, every institution has a faculty champion, a library champion, and a design champion. I think one or two of the institutions have multiple because of the way that their campuses are spread out. But for the most part, it is one of each for each institution. And if you come over to this page, you can just scroll through and find your institution and see who so here, like Georgia State has one for perimeter and one for their main campus. But scroll through here, find your institution, and you'll be able to see what kind of who you have on your campus to contact, and also how to get in touch with them. Let's see. Do you have anything to add, Jeff?
No, just for the VSU folks, I wanted to say that they don't have a design champion yet, but once that happens, sorry, I'm hearing a lot of echo right now.
Oh, hold on. Let me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you're at VSU, they are currently hiring an instructional designer. There's been some COVID-related issues that delayed the hiring process. So there is no design champion at VSU. But in that case, still contact Mike Holtz and Jan Drake, who will be more than happy to help you out.
Yeah. And then finally, the last big button that I'll direct you to here is the statistics, research, and reports page. If you're looking for research, if you're looking for information about how your campus, your institution is doing on data and saving students money, this is where you're going to find it. So definitely take a peek at that and follow us on Twitter because we post stuff on Twitter. We'll talk more about Twitter later, but I think that's it as far as introducing you to what we have available, give you resources. I feel like we did that pretty quick. Do we have any questions about ALG and what's available, what kinds of resources, and where to find things?
Yeah, I got a question. How do we get our publications onto your page? Because we've got a lot from Kennesaw State that I don't see.
Jeff, can they just send those over to us? And
so the question is, are you not able to find these on OpenALG, or is it more they're not being featured?
I think I think you meant like research articles that came out of grants.
Is that what you're asking? I think it was Dr. Halstead-Nuzlocke.
Yeah, you call me Rich, please.
Oh, sure,
yeah,
sure.
So I'm on the About page, and I see some peer-reviewed articles.
Yes.
And I see about a half dozen. And are these selected? How do we propose, or how do we get those? Get our favored publications onto that page?
So these are the ones that we know exist from USG authors that are about OER and their efficacy. So if there are ones that you have or that your colleagues have, email them over. We'd love to list them there.
Okay, Jeff, so we email them to you or Tiffany or both?
Both of us would be great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So like I said, we're going to split off into two groups. We're going to send everyone in the transformation grants group off to a separate room with Jeff, and then continuous improvement is going to stay here in the main room with me. And what we're going to do, and Jeff will pull up this slide in the breakout group for you guys, but we're going to have everyone first introduce yourself, talk about your project. And so you may, because everyone's name comes in different orders and no one really gets grouped perfectly with their team, whoever from your group happens to go first, maybe go ahead and have everyone from your group introduce at that time. And that way you guys can kind of all talk about your project together and avoid too much, I guess, duplication. Try to save a little bit of time, make sure that everyone has a chance to talk about their project. So you'll talk about your project. What is it? What kinds of materials are you thinking about? What does your timeline look like? Your process? And do you have anything that you specifically would like feedback on, or maybe, you're not sure how you want to host, see if anyone has ideas for that. And then the rest of the group can contribute any ideas that they have. So no, this is actually, I think this is actually 45. Well, now I don't remember. I have to pull up the agenda, Jeff.
Well, because we've got the SLA to go through by the end, I think 2:30 would probably be a good time for that to start.
Okay. All right. So then, yeah, that sounds good. So this says 45. We're actually going to do 30 minutes, and then we will come back and we can talk a little bit together about how, any ideas that we came up with, and maybe, if anyone's got like a really cool project that they just want to share with the whole group, we'll do that. So I'm going to send you guys off. Do we have any questions before we do? Okay, I will.
Can we move rooms in case we are in the wrong room?
No, but you can let either me or Jeff, whoever's in your room, know. And if you're in Jeff's room and are supposed to be in my room, he will let me know so that I can move you. I tried to do this correctly, but Teams is a little clunky. So if you do end up in the wrong room, just let whoever is in your room know and we'll fix it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so assign to room 1. You guys should all be invited to, if you are transformation, you should be invited to room 1. Or it may have even moved you already.
Not so far.
Oh, start rooms. There we go.
Oh.
This is our first time using the Teams breakout groups. It's been an adventure. Okay, it looks like everyone's starting to get sent over there. Okay. Is anyone in this room supposed to be in the transformation grants room? Yes. Who said yes?
It's me. Sorry, it's Liz Miles. I'm supposed to be in the transformation.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. Sha Huang.
Oh, Wang Lao Shen.
Okay. All right. So I will send you guys over there then.
No, I think we are correct. Liz Miles, myself, Sha Huang, and Jeannie Zhang, we are the Continue Improvement Project.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry. My apologies. Yes.
No, that's okay. This is very.
And we
this
should
is-
be with Tiffany.
Yeah, continuous improvement versus transformation. Sorry, I just got the terminology mixed up. Sorry.
Okay. Nope, no problem. Is anyone else thinking they might be in the wrong room?
This
We've
is
got.
continuous improvement.
This is continuous improvement. Yes.
I think it has to be in the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, and Eric Richmond as well. I believe I'm in transformation.
Yeah,
Okay.
me and Shirley.
Who are the other? Who's speaking? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Maria Valero
Okay.
and Shirley Tian.
Okay. All right. I will send you guys over to transformation.
Thank you.
This is Christine Whitlock, and I should also be in the transformation.
Okay. Are you on the desktop app or the web?
The desktop app.
That's so weird because it actually doesn't. It grays you out. It doesn't let me move you.
Oh. I started on the web and then I left and downloaded the desktop app.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but it doesn't. There's a couple of you that it won't. That I actually can't click on. Like it tells me that you're not in the meeting.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure why. Do you mind hanging out with us?
That's totally fine.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get started here and just, whoever wants to go first. We can go in order of the, in order of the list, or.
I'll go I'm Erin Barito. Sorry, let me put there we go. Can everybody see me maybe?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Erin Barito, Department of Geography and Anthropology of Kennesaw State University. And I'll just say a few words and then I'll have our other members pipe in. So what we are doing is for a class called Earth from Above, Geography 1102. A few years ago, Uli Ingram and team, I think Tiffany might have been on this team.
Yeah, I was.
Created an open resource for this class. And so what we're going to do is update that initial resource, maybe update some of the innovations since it was initially created. We're also going to create a more flexible format for students and create a story map format so students can essentially scroll through each module with links to assignments or videos inserted in addition to the reading. And what was the last thing we were going to do? Our timeline is to prepare it over the spring and the summer and have it test rolled out for fall and hopefully out in action for the entire department for spring of 2022.
Awesome. Does anyone else from this project want to introduce themselves or add to that?
I'm happy to say a few words. I'm Uli Ingram, so I created the original resources with others. So the exciting part of this project right now is that we are 99% sure that this course will be added to our Gen Ed. So we're probably going to go from currently in between 2 and 3 sections per year to a lot more sections. This will actually work as a science requirement for non-STEM majors. So I could imagine a lot of students might want to choose this course versus chemistry or something like that. I hope there's no chemistry professors here. So we're excited about this.
Sounds like someone's microphone is on with maybe a vacuum cleaner. There it goes. Okay. Does anyone else want to introduce themselves or add on to the project at all?
Yes, Tiffany, I like to go. Oh, sorry.
We can move on if we
Did
need
you guys
to.
finish your project?
We have a few more here.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, myself and Nikki are here too, but Nikki's done this before, so I don't know if she'll say anything. This is my first ALG grant, so I'm working with Aaron and Uli, as well as Nikki on this, and I will be helping out building like the automated and detailed feedback for the existing grading rubrics, and kind of helping out with the accessibility of the existing documentation.
Thanks, Kathy. This is Nikki, and yeah, I'm happy to be working back with you guys on this. I don't really want to say too much because I don't want to like commit ourselves to to just one avenue. Looking at some exploratory methods of creating these open resources for some self-assessment exercises as well. So doing a lot of concentration on including a lot of feedback in the courses. So excited.
Awesome, thanks. So Dr. Lee, you said you wanted to go next. We can go ahead and move.
Thank you, Tiffany. Yes, my name is Lei Li. I'm from the Department of Information Technology at Kennesaw State. Actually, we have been doing ALG for a long time, since round 2. And we're very proud to announce that at this fall, our whole master degree will be textbook free. So the whole program, all courses, very excited about that. So in this project, basically, we also have Dr. Rich joining us. We're going to do update the material for 2 of the courses, and also we are adding 2 new courses in fall. And for those 2 new courses, we're going to start with OER material from the beginning. So we're going to be very busy this summer and this fall, updating the existing course and also developing the new material. Also, the reason I like to jump on earlier is I have double booked for another meeting, so I have to leave in a few minutes. But Dr. Rich is going to cover this project for the rest of the discussion. Rich, you want to chip in?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah, I'm taking care of the update of the course in IT procurement, which is one of the more important areas of information technology. And it's interesting that we had an IT procurement event as a part of this this webinar. Tiffany, I feel for you to discover all of a sudden a constraint in the IT that you procured. And so this is one of those things that this course is designed to hopefully avoid. So that's just a little bit of a sidebar to introduce the course that I'm working with.
All right, so Tiffany, I guess that is our introduction.
Okay, great. And I appreciate the solidarity because, yeah, breakout groups has been an adventure in teams. Who's next?
Actually, Tiffany?
Yes.
I was talking about the certificate application.
Oh,
All
yes,
of a
well,
sudden
that
you
too.
discovered, oh, there's a constraint. Oh, okay.
Yes,
Oh,
that
man,
too.
service level just went out the window.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry,
No,
Ed.
I mean both of them, honestly. Teams and the certificate thing. We didn't have that problem last round. I think it's just that so many people tried to do it yesterday all at the same time. So
There you go. So yeah, and enjoy the Microsoft moments. You might just as well.
yeah. Yeah. Who else wants to go next?
I'm just gonna chime in because I'm also unfortunately double booked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, my name is Skanda Vivek. So me and Dr. Sairam Tangirala from Georgia Gwinnett College are in the continuous improvement this time, and we started off I think in round 16 with a transformation grant. So this grant is for teaching non-science majors at Georgia Gwinnett College science in the everyday context, and we have a manifold app book where we essentially draw through numerous examples from traditional materials, solids, liquids, and gases, to more fun materials like cornstarch, running on cornstarch water, and even soap bubbles and the science behind traffic jams. So basically, drawing a lot of connections between the science and the society. And now we're excited to sort of put more materials, because we have spoke to a lot of instructors who are very interested, but often they're sort of asked for the additional materials, and so now this grant will help us with that, and we're really excited. Thank you. Dr. Tanga, Sairam, do you want to add something?
Yes, perhaps I think I'll spend some time trying to actually get information about the Manifold app. I think historically, when we have used it, I have found, well, Dr. Wake was primarily editing the app Manifold content. And I think after discussing, I realized that this app perhaps was not easily understood by me, and it appeared that it is not as friendly as I would have hoped for. So I'm hoping to use to get some pointers about how to use this app, or the way to publish materials, and to have content version managements and things like that. And I thought that was missing in the app, so I wanted to get that information. So hopefully I'll learn about that in this meeting.
Yeah, so we won't necessarily have a lot of time to dig too deep into Manifold, but that is one of the things that we want to kind of add on to ALG's offerings, is some training on how to use Manifold, but I will say that that there are definitely limitations in the tool, and it's something that we're learning a little bit more about every day. But I am happy to sit down together and go through some of your questions anytime, and see what we can figure out. I think between Jeff and I'm probably the better person to sit down with about Manifold issues, just because I basically live in the platform. But yeah, we can definitely schedule some time to do that, though.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah.
I think I'll just be bold and jump in next, if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds great.
So I'm Riel Novitsky. I work at the University of Georgia, and the project is to create, it's actually a brand new textbook on the topic of Latinx media. So I was already using essentially a self-created reader for students that they got cost-free through our learning management system. So that's why it's a continuous improvement grant instead of transformation. I think our process is a little bit unconventional because we're actually soliciting short chapters from top experts in the field. So I'm really editing the project together with Leslie Marsh, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. So the timeline is essentially that we're commissioning these short chapters, which are kind of like encyclopedia articles, sort of for key aspects of the topic. We're soliciting those over the summer, and then we're going to work with University of North Georgia Press. And so it will actually be going through peer review and other phases of professional production in the fall, so that we can roll it out in the spring. The one question that I had, and it might be covered later in the training, it came up a little bit in the asynchronous training, is the question of a Creative Commons license. So
I wanted to be able to use UNG Press's print on demand program where they can sell a physical copy of the textbook essentially at cost. But I didn't know if it has to allow commercial uses. I guess what I want to avoid is someone kind of taking the book and selling it at a higher price, because I don't really think that's fair to the authors. So again, it might be beyond the scope of this particular session, but I just wanted to bring that up as a question that I had. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's actually a very common question, and the short answer is that no, it does not it does not have to leave the non-commercial off in order for you to do a print on demand. Non-commercial is non-commercial doesn't stop you from doing print on demand and like at cost printing. What it does stop you or anyone else from doing is actually profiting off of that. And so, yeah, I was going to give you an example, but that book is actually CC BY anyway. It doesn't have non-commercial on it, but it is very common to set books up for an at-cost print option and still have a non-commercial license.
And so I'm sorry, just a super quick follow-up. So if I did CC BY NCSA, is that okay, or do you consider that to be too restrictive? So you can still do derivative works, but we just wanted to keep it non-commercial.
I mean, as long as you have, as long as you provide us with an explanation for like why it's needed or whatever, we're cool with that.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. So we had, I think, Dr. Shi wanted to go next, or do you have others on your project, Riel, to introduce first?
One other person, Leslie Marsh, but she had an unmovable appointment. So I spoke to Jeff and she was able to get an exception.
That's right. Okay. Okay. So yeah, Dr. Shi, do you want to go next?
Yes, sure. So hey, everyone, this is Yang Shi from Computer Science Department at Kennesaw State University. So in this round, I'm gonna do this an individual course improvement project. So I will be focusing on improving the content of cloud computing undergraduate version of our department. So this course used to teach all the aspects of the cloud computing, from the definition, the background, the history, the technology involved, and the research aspects. So what I'm planning to do is to improve and enhance the material in different aspects, such as the new technology. As we all know, cloud computing evolves every day. So it's necessary to update the content, every semester almost. So this is one thing that I would like to do, to add more technologies in the industrial world. And also I would like to add the more research components, related to cloud computing for those students who are interested in pursuing higher education. They will be ready. And another thing is some other concepts and items that I would like to add to this course is something related to cloud, but not necessarily the cloud itself, like edge computing, fog computing, all of them are very, and even IoT, because all those things are related to each other. So one thing that I still need to figure out is exactly what to add, because there are so many options to add into this course. And this is only just a one semester course for the undergraduate students. So this is something that I need to figure out. And if any help from you guys, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Do you have any thoughts or recommendations?
And you can all leave the comments in the chat window, then I can check.
Dr. Zahn, I see your mic came on. Did you want to make a comment?
No, I was just getting ready to go next.
Oh, okay. Is there anyone else on your team, Dr. Shi, that needs to introduce themselves?
No, that's the. This is an individual project. I'm
Okay.
the only one.
Okay. Will you type out your question in the chat and give us a chance to think a little bit about it before we?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then you can go ahead and introduce your project, Dr. Zahn.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Tiffany. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Zhang, and I'm a professor of psychology. And our team, we actually have 4 members, so they'll have a chance to talk. But just briefly, this is a Asia 1102 course called Intro to Asian Cultures. So as you can all see, it's quite a challenging topic because Asia is so diverse and there's so many cultures. So the decision to what to include, but anyway, for this course, we actually had a transformation grant back in round 4, believe it or not, and I don't know how many years ago, but so we developed a course package for that course, and it's been going on fairly well, but from the students' evaluations, we, the instructors, we sort of feel that students prefer more multimedia material than just books and chapters and a lot of readings. So that kind of prompted us to do this affordable material continuous improvement grant to find more multimedia resources, open education resources, such as videos and even TED Talks, podcasts, or just a whole bunch of things that students seem to learn. Well, research actually indicates students retain more information from multimedia sources than just from reading. So, but we have a few other tasks that I'll let, looks like Liz is ready. So however, Dr. Mei Gao, and there's also Sha Huang, so, and Liz Miles. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Jenny. Sorry, I'm part of Professor John's group working on Asia 1102. And as she pointed out, right, we're trying to meet students where they're at with materials. Well, first that are more recent. So as right, this is a constantly changing area of the world. In many respects, keeping up with contemporary events. I find students enjoy that, making Asia this living thing. So we're hoping to update materials, make them more contemporary. I personally am really, two things. I was really interested in the getting students involved in the process of design, of helping to design. So I really like to work with Asian studies majors or minors on the project. And I took the training, and there was one platform that seemed really interesting, and I wrote it down somewhere. It's somewhere, and I will remember it, but I'm really interested in this kind of hosting or creating some sort of website as part of the Asian Studies major at Kennesaw, trying to increase majors, increase enrollment, or just increase interest in Asian studies, Asian cultures. So looking forward to this. Thank you.
So may I go next, Tiffany?
I think we had a couple people on the
Okay,
last project. Did you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick, or?
Yes, my name is Mei Gao. I'm a professor of communication and Asian studies at Kennesaw State University, and I'm proud to be on this team. And thank you so much, Tiffany and Jeff, for your support. So we will be starting to work on this as soon as summer starts. And we want to, as Dr. Jeannie Jan mentioned, that we want to add more multimedia materials, including a lot of videos and links, and make it more really attractive and appetizing to Gen Z students. So I teach intercultural communication in the summer. I will have Asian studies majors and minors in my class. And one of the assignment is that I will teach them to make iMovies. We will make iMovies to introduce Asian cultures and to introduce how to travel, live, and work in Asia, as well as how to seek for Asia prefix courses, how to declare Asian studies minor, how to declare Asian studies major, and what are some of the jobs available in Asia, such as teaching English in Asia, doing business in Asia, and nonprofit organizations and international organizations. Thank you very much for your support.
That sounds great. You guys have one more person, right?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Sha Huang, and I'm from Department of Foreign Languages, Kennesaw State University. I teach Chinese language and culture, and also I teach some Asian studies courses at the interdisciplinary departments. It's my honor to be here in this strong team, and we hope to make our curriculum for Asian 1102 more updated and more rich in more information and different kind of mode of materials. And we also hope that through this chance we can kind of recommend design and recommend some of the great projects that can lead the students to use these materials, the future instructor of the course to use these materials and engage the students in the experiential learning and maybe produce some wonderful projects out of this class. Okay. Thank you very much.
Great. Dr. Shahriar, you said you wanted to go next?
Sure, if you allow me. Thanks. Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. So I'd like to introduce our projects. So I'm Dr. Shahriar, an Associate Professor of Information Technology at Kennesaw State University. And in this project, we're going to be actually developing open resource materials for 4 of the new I would say courses as part of our MSIT degree curriculum. And this is also in align with the Z degree. You may have already heard from probably Dr. Lee, who have introduced his project before, that our MSIT degree program is free of textbook from all the courses. However, our curriculum got revised usually every 3 years or so. So as a result, we have identified new courses, and thanks to our ALG for your great support, that now we are able to actually improve the resources for better accessibility and improve the quality. And also we like to add a lot of hands-on resources. I believe all of the team members might be here, but I might be wrong. There are the courses that we will be working on would be IT 7303, Data Privacy Technologies, and the developer is Dr. Liang Zhao. Liang, are you here in the meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah, maybe if you could briefly tell in 30, 40 seconds what you plan to do, so that would be great. Then I will go to the other 3 courses.
Sure. So, the course I plan to develop is IT is called Enterprise Cloud and Wireless Security. So my main goal is to develop an OER materials such as the documentations, the websites, and I will also record video lectures for each module and to facilitate student learning. So the main topic will be related to enterprise cloud security and the wireless network securities. And also I will also develop test banks, quizzes, assignments, hands-on projects, and discussions based on the content in the learning modules. So I think that's pretty much for my course.
Thanks so much, Liang. The next course is IT 7313, Physical IT System Security. This would be managed and are developed by Dr. Maria Valero. I believe she is here. Maria,
Yeah.
would you like to introduce?
I'm here. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you, Tiffany and Jeff. Yeah, so the course is Physical IT System Security. So this is the first time that a course like this style is developing in ALG. It's basically based on security in physical devices, real devices. So we are planning to create a bunch of materials related to, emulators of physical devices, hands-on activities. Um, Basically, it's about the security architecture, container security, physical system security. So we are going to develop a series of activities in which students can access remotely some devices, physical devices, and conduct some experiments. So it's going to be very exciting project. We are going to provide a platform for them to interact with physical devices, but they can actually, send data from one devices to the cloud and secure that data, etc. So we are planning to create multiple materials for this specific course. Dr. Chariar.
Okay, thanks so much. So the other two courses are IT 7333, Enterprise Cloud and Wireless Security. Dr. Manghan is one of the developer. He actually developed a similar course before. Mang, would you like to introduce briefly a little bit about this course?
Oh yes, sorry I cannot turn on my camera. So glad to see you guys. In this class, we are more focused on the enterprise-wise. That is also one of our signature. I mean, like a track in our IT department, and we'll utilize a bunch of like a cloud technologies into the course. Particularly, cloud has become one of the most important infrastructure and the fundamental means support for many of the IT applications, as well as like a broad usage in the the industry. So we hope by improve this course, utilize a bunch of latest developed cloud analytics, cloud infrastructure information to help our students better understand the scenario and prepare them for their next career step. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Manghan. And lastly, we also have a new course in our curriculum, IT 7733, Fundamentals of Enterprise Cloud. And this would be developed by Dr. Shirley Tian. And just to let you know, she is also one of the main contact member for the Amazon Academy for Cloud that offers free resources. And we are really excited to integrate those resources into our curriculum. So Dr. Tian, are you here to talk briefly about the course, what you are planning to do?
Yes. This is Shirley Tian, Assistant Professor of IT at Kennesaw State University. I will develop a new course called Fundamentals of Enterprise Cloud. This course will be in our Enterprise IT track for graduate program. This course will cover the fundamental ideas behind Enterprise Cloud, the evolution of the paradigm is applicable, and the benefits, and also it will cover some basic ideas and the principles in enterprise cloud management techniques, and enterprise cloud deployment considerations. And also it will introduce the two major cloud platform. One is Amazon AWS, and another one is Microsoft Azure platform. And we will compare those two and give the students some ideas about how to choose the plan and how to choose the service. And also it will cover some hands-on labs to practice on the cloud platform. And also I will develop a case study to let students to do the case study and discuss the possible plans on that. So that's it for this course. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Tian. That's great. So also we like to share that all the resources that we will be developing, we like to ensure they are accessible and free from any accessibility issues. And as part of that, we plan to include, for example, more like a generic template of the syllabus copy and any kind of lectures that would be recorded as part of the projects. It will be transcribed also for accuracy. And we are very thankful to the distance learning innovation partner. And I believe Pawina Somjit is one of our project collaborator here. She might be here, maybe still around. Okay. So she will be working with us closely, and she will be going through each of the resources to make sure that they are accessibility compliant that's required. So I think briefly that's pretty much it. And in terms of the timeline, we are looking to complete in at the end of 4th semester, beginning of this project. And happy to take any questions. Thanks.
I think we've got another group that wants to hop in here. So we have Dr. Roberts. You said you wanted to go next.
Sure.
Okay.
So we're doing a continuation grant for Math 2300, which is discrete math here at Georgia Gwinnett College. It's me. I'm in math, by the way. Dr. Kathy Pinzon, who is also in math, and Dr. Sebastian Siva, who's in iTech. So this is interdisciplinary. We originally did the grant, I think it was around 15 maybe, and we wrote an OER textbook that's hosted on a github.io website and linked on the ALG Manifold site. And that has embedded videos and Python scripts that run in the textbook. And so this continuation grant will be to make more videos, including lectures, more examples to embed, some applets, some guided notes, and things along those lines, just to add more ancillary resources to the textbook. And Dr. Pinzon couldn't make it, but Dr. Siva, I believe, may be here. So if he wants to introduce himself and say anything, I think he can, if he's still here.
Yep, I'm here. I'll just say I'm an IT professor at Georgia Gwinnett College, and I'm making the math professors do all the work, which is how things should be.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and the discrete math course is taken predominantly by IT majors, and I think this has been a success because our IT majors are now doing some coding in discrete math, and it just seems like a better opportunity for them to learn algorithmic thinking and also test their thinking, because coding can be immediately executed and tested. So it's working well.
It is, and the students have responded very positively, not only to not paying for a textbook anymore, but for getting that iTech stuff. Because I mean, I've taught the course for about 3 years now, and I've not had anyone but iTech majors. So yeah, our timeline, we're going to try to get everything finished by the fall and pilot a little bit in the fall and have it fully rolled out by spring 2022. Thanks. Have a good day, everybody.
Okay, great. So we are running short on time. So if at all possible, can we, for the next few projects, I think we've got maybe 4 projects left, try to do a very, very quick introduction, and then maybe give us a little bit more information in the chat to read about later. I'm really sorry about the shortened, the short amount of time you guys have left, but let's keep moving with Dr. Matheson.
Sorry, my name is Jim Matheson. I'm instructor of biology at Georgia Highlands College. And myself and Mahira Baker, we are running 2 teams where we're going to work at revising content that had been previously created through ALG for Anatomy Physiology 1 and 2. So mostly we're just focusing on the on like study guides and practice quizzes, assignments, ancillary materials that were created to support the class. We're already using OpenStack's Anatomy and Physiology textbook to begin with, so we just want to align everything with the text and update it and try to add to some of the content. So pretty simple, actually. So that's all I have.
Awesome, thank you. Is there anyone on your project that we need to introduce?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm an instructor of biology at Georgia Highlands, and as Jim stated, our main goal is to ensure the ancillary materials align with the newest version of the OpenStack's book. So we'll be working on revising and reviewing chapter outlines, PowerPoint slides, study guides, and practice quizzes. We're also planning on creating activities, if needed, for students to use as learning support. So that'll be for both AP1 and AP2.
Great. Let's do Dr. Mangan. Oh, wait, we have someone else still part of the team as well.
Well, so I'm Jason Christian. I'm part of one of those two teams, and then I'm also part of another one that's an Introductory Biology 2 course, and we're creating a open resource laboratory manual for that course. That's pretty much it. The other members, I saw some of them bouncing on and off. There's a Southeastern Biologist conference today that they're participating in, so they've been jumping in between the two.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and keep moving to Dr. Mangan.
Sure. Hi, my name is Jane Mangan. I work at UGA, the law school. I am taking statutes and cases and putting them together into a manual for my students who are learning how to draft documents for representation in court for criminal cases. Statutes and cases are all in the public domain, so all I really have to do is create a frame for them to fit in. I am teaching this class in August, so I will have it finished by then. Working on just a big Word doc, copying and pasting and formatting. I had said I was going to use Open Commons, but instead I'm going to use Manifold because that's where my other manual is. And the only thing I'm trying to figure out now is how to include real life examples and keep them accessible.
Great, thank you. So let's see, after you, we had a couple people who were supposed to be in the transformation grants room. Did you guys want to introduce yourselves? But first, I will say we have exactly 1 minute left. So anyone who has not gone at this point, aside from our final introduction that we'll do right now, is we're going to have you guys introduce yourselves in the chat. I'm really sorry about this again. We're working out the kinks on this, but let's go ahead and have Christine Harkreader. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick, and then everyone else introduce in the chat, please?
Sure. I'll be brief. So my name is Christine Harkreader. We have a team of 7, and I think 5. I think it's hard with a big team, probably. So 5 of them are in the other room, and Maria Badillo Mendez and I are in this room. We're doing a project to create 5 5-week modules that can be used in first-year composition courses, where each one is going to be based on a subject that is commonly used in first-year composition courses. And what we're hoping is that not only will they be easily implemented in those courses, so like they're 5 weeks each, so professors could choose 1 or 2 or 3 of them in different combinations for a reduced cost course or a totally free course for students. And we're also doing things like literature reviews and annotated bibliographies. And what we're hoping is that other areas will be able to use those as well, like psychology, nursing, that commonly use those, teach those type of materials. So in a nutshell, that is what we're doing. And I'll try to be brief. Marie, do you want to say anything?
I have gone ahead and closed the breakout room, so we've got everyone else hopping back in to join us. But of course, feel free to finish up if.
That's fine. I'm sure Shabnam described it very well to the other group, and it's really okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. But we're really excited to be doing the project. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay,
Hi,
great.
everyone.
And yeah, thanks everyone for hanging in there with us on this short time. I say short. We went longer than we had originally planned, but it's mostly because of poor planning, honestly. So we'll get better at this. But We've got our friends in the transformation room coming back to join us. So it looks like I think everyone may be back. But if you did not have the chance to introduce yourself, please do introduce yourself in the chat. And if you, and everyone take a minute to read those introductions, respond if you feel compelled to. And but for now, we are actually we're going to have to cut the next break we had planned because we are running short on time, and Jeff's going to take over and talk grant processes.
Okay, so let's talk about the grant procedures, the funnest part of any kickoff meeting, talking about paperwork. So you already know a little bit of this, so I will go through this part a little quickly. Funding is not your typical grant. Some institutions will treat our grants, which are between one organization in the University System of Georgia to another, as an external grant, but that's usually not the case. We are allocating funds to the institution to get the work that is on your proposal done. That's funded 50% at the beginning when everyone signs. That includes your institution and then the Board of Regents in their legal office. I'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. And then 50% on submission of the final report. So why do we do it this way? The reason why is because there's enough flexibility within the institution to get the project done, even when small things kind of wobble around or change a bit. So, for example, KSU may do their funding of faculty or staff time very differently than they do at Gordon State. The certain amount that you're awarded may mean something different at Savannah State than it does at Georgia Tech. It really depends on the institution. So these kinds of agreements between the system office and the institution, instead of an external thing where we are sending direct stipends, means that when things change a little bit or if things vary, it works out just fine. Now, of course, you're going to want to coordinate with your business and grants office. This is why we already had you discuss your proposal with your grants and business office before submitting that. Some teams will not be aware of how this all works until they want to get started on the work and they don't have all the paperwork in place, and that's not good. Others will get started and then the grants offices will go, wait a minute, we had no idea this was happening. And that's not something we want either. That's what we want you to make sure that you're coordinating with them. If you're at a bigger institution, you may have a departmental administrator that does all of the business and grants office work. That's fine so long as they are in contact. So what is this agreement that we do? It's called a service level agreement, and you'll be seeing this next week. And because we're all part of the same organization, we don't have to have a whole bunch of legalese in there, but it is still kind of dense. So we're going to walk through all the parts you'll need to know and all the parts you'll need to check when I send these to you. And if you've done this before, this is new. This is a new SLA that was created between us, the ethics office folks, the communications folks, the legal folks, and business and grants office people at Georgia Gwinnett College and Kennesaw State and Clayton State, who all really helped. Yes, even if you were in round 19, this is a new SLA. This is a completely new deal. So section 1 of the service level agreement talks about the completion of services. So this is something, yeah, if you're part of R19, yep. And yeah, so this is the part that you're probably familiar with, saying that the statement of work is the proposal is attached. So our agreement is really based on that proposal. And as you look at the service level agreement, relook at that proposal as it's attached and make sure that everything's in order. Yeah, and if there's a change in personnel, then you could usually work with your institution on that and get one person to come in and one person who is leaving. That's fine. Let us know in the semester status report. Not a problem. You can let us know if you're in a continuous improvement grant too. It doesn't require our approval to change a team member. The starting and ending dates is section 2. Be sure that these are accurate. We go off of what you entered as your final semester. So that is usually spring 2022. If you're a continuous improvement grant, you may have selected fall 2021. If you selected that and your timeline goes elsewhere, make sure that they align and that everything's good between your proposal and the agreement when we send it over to you. Project funding. So this is not necessarily for you so much as it is for the grants offices and the business offices who are going to be dealing with this. You've already seen this in the RFP. They may not have done so. So do check the award amount. Make sure that that is the amount that we said we would give, because that would be bad if we agreed on a different amount. And check the second bullet point in there that has your date and your final semester. This should all populate the same way from section 2 and section 3. Just make sure the dates are right. Section 4 is the big new one. This is all about contingencies, the what if stuff goes wrong section. Now, we don't mean something goes wrong where there's a slight typo in one of the chapters and that has to get fixed 3 days after the final report. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your project lead goes missing and some of the work just never gets done and the final report is, nowhere to be found. Like really kind of on fire kinds of things. If stuff goes wrong, we have different sections for it. This talks about what happens if none of it got done, what happens if part of it got done, and what happens if we've awarded some funds that have gone towards that work, but the work isn't complete. It'll talk a lot about what the USG has permissions to do or rights to do. But what is really important is if something goes this wrong, contact us as soon as you can. I had an instance, and this is why we have this new SLA in a way, where the project lead just dropped off the face of the planet, and the other person who was working on this was seeing all of my emails get blocked somehow by a security measure at the institution that they had just put in. And so therefore, I had no idea what was going on there until a business office got in contact with me and said, we're going to send all of the funds back and then take these funds out of a person's account who had already done some work. And we're like, oh my goodness. So now we have all of this in here, especially for the grants offices to know and the business offices to know what happens. But for you, if anything goes wrong, let us know immediately. And usually we're able to kind of work that out. There was a very easy fix for that team, basically just bringing somebody new in to finish off the project. It's just that didn't happen because they didn't know. So again, please contact us if something happened. And then there's the rest of them. The rest of the sections are not that big. They're just kind of small statements. One of them is just kind of this is on every agreement with the USG. You can't ask for more money and you can't ask for credit from the state. It's mechanical stuff. It won't happen in these grants. Number 6 is that if for some reason federal or state laws clash with anything that's in this agreement, the laws prevail, not the agreement. Again, that probably will not happen within these agreements, but we have to put it in there just in case. Number 7 is the Anti-Discrimination Clause. Neither the institution nor the USG can discriminate based on a list of things that are protected by law, and we put them in the SLA. Number 8, we can modify the SLA, but we do need agreement from both parties, meaning that the institution needs to sign and the Board of Regents needs to sign. So let's say you have a project that has to be delayed a couple of weeks because of a sickness, family emergency, final reports coming in a couple of weeks. That's fine. Up to 31 days, the biggest month that we have, you can delay that final report if something goes wrong. Oh yeah, we will be sharing these slides on the Grants Information Center for sure. Let me just get this link in chat for you. And we will be sending it out through email and really asking you to bookmark this particular page because all of the deadlines and the reports and the kickoff meeting stuff, it's all here. So there it is. There's the Grants Information Center link. And we will be sharing that out through email too. The slides will be there. Dr. Frost, if you want to put those questions in chat, we can try to answer them there. And then if we have more time, we can just kind of discuss them at that point. Does that make sense? Sure. Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to take you off track. If you want me to wait until you're finished.
No, it's okay.
But I'm not a very fast typist, and sometimes it's just easier for me to say the things. I promised my undergraduate program committee that I would ask this question today. Some of them, sadly, are not as optimistic as I would like for them to be, that I'm going to have a quality OER course ready to pilot by fall of 2021. And I get the feeling that they kind of want to take a look at it in August. And if they think it's not quite ready to pilot, is it okay if we keep working on it in the fall and then pilot it in the spring instead? Because our grant says we'll pilot it in the fall, then we'll test it more rigorously in the spring. And so I would assume that would be okay, but I just wanted to double check how much our hands are tied by what we wrote.
Yeah, when it comes to things like that, that'll just be something that you mentioned in the final report, that our plans changed and therefore we implemented it in this time period. If you weren't able to implement it by the deadline, that would be different. We would have to change the terms of the service level agreement. That would be a whole thing. If that happens, just let us know and we will work that out. But yeah, what you're describing is usually something that you can mention in the final report as a plan that changed because of this review.
Okay, and then can I ask one more follow-up question about the final report dates? Because obviously we want to gather data on, here's my premise. If it does no harm and it's no cost, it's a no-brainer that we should scale it, right? That's what I'm trying to sell to my faculty. But I need some evidence to show that. So if I'm wondering about this final deadline, if I need to go back and check that more carefully. I'm not actually the one who wrote that proposal for my college, but like I need some time after spring semester ends to crunch that data and find out if it did no harm relative to the courses where people are paying for the stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways that that we look at this. The first one is that we try to set the deadline as far into or even past the semester as we possibly can. For fall 2021, that's December 20th, like holiday season right before everybody leaves. For spring 2022, it's all the way in May 16th. So those are pretty late, but if you need more time, what you can do is submit a draft final report that has everything that you've done, except that you're going to need an update on the student success data. And so you'll just state that in the quantitative and qualitative measures, and then email us the updated one once that data comes in, and we will update it on our end.
Okay, thank you for indulging me.
No problem. Dr. Butnaro says, can you please clarify the statement on the indirect costs as part of the grant? So if you've ever had an external or a federal grant or a non-governmental organization grant, and you've applied for it from your institution or from a system or for a consortium, part of the budget will say that you have a certain it's kind of like a facilities and administration cost. That is, keeping the lights on in the lab, making sure that the grants office can manage this mammoth federal, regulation-filled external grant. That is something that we don't do. So if you're already here and we've looked at your budget, it's good. What you can't do is when you're proposing a budget, say, here is our indirect administrative costs for this grant, and then those often go towards the grants office. So does that make sense, Dr. Butnaro? direct costs are everything from all of the stuff that goes into your time. So that doesn't just mean base salary, but that also means fringes. But it doesn't include facilities and administration costs that are often included on federal stuff.
Yes, thank you. I think our budget did include indirect costs, so I'll just email you privately.
Oh, okay, cool.
Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else before we go on? All right, we are going to keep going. So the first step in the SLA distribution is getting institutional signatures. So we are drafting the SLAs. We will distribute them to the project leads to check them first. Now, it used to be that the project leads had to then send them to the grants office. That's not the case anymore. I'm doing this through an electronic program called DocuSign with your offices to get signatures that way. But we want to make sure that you have a couple of days to just take a look at the SLA. Not that big of a document, usually about 3 pages, and then it's attached to your proposal, just to make sure that everything's good before we get started. About Wednesday, I'm going to be sending those to the grants offices for institution signatures. They sign those. It depends on the institution who does. Sometimes it goes all the way up to a VPAA or a provost. Sometimes it is the grants administrator, the sponsored programs office director, something like that. And they'll send it back to us. After that, I am sending those to the business office, along with a requisition, which means that we have reserved the amount of funds for the project in our system. That's really good on our ends for making sure that we have our budgets all straight before the fiscal year ends. After that, what happens is the business office sends all of these service level agreements through their system, not through my system, to the legal department. The legal department gets signatures from Dr. Tristan Denley, the Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and often the EVC for administration as well, although that might be changing due to people moving around a little bit. Yeah, so after that happens, they send it back to the business office. Once the business office gets it back, they know that it's fully signed. And because they know it's fully signed, they create what's called a purchase order, which means that when you send an invoice to us, we can pay that invoice. We've got that money ready. So this is the opaque zone for this. There is a point in time in between when I receive your institution signed SLA and send it over to the business office where I don't know what's going on. The legal office can see these SLAs and have it be the first task on their desk and send it back to me in 2 days, and that's awesome. They can also have it in a backlog, depending on the time of the year, depending on how many people are in the office, depending on if somebody's on vacation, and we don't see it for a month. If something is being held up for a little too long and it's impeding something over on your end, email me and I will get in contact with the business office to see what's going on. There are multiple bottlenecks in that process where it can happen. It can be within the business office, and it can be within legal, and it can also be within the signature people outside of legal. Maybe they're gone and legal's waiting for them to sign something. And because it's all on their system and not on mine, I don't know who it is that's stopping it. So I can't just go into DocuSign and be like, oh yeah, it's over here. I could just contact that person. So it is a little bit of email tag. So let me know as soon as possible if something is being held up too long. If you're noticing that it's just not arriving, then I can check with the business office. Business office can take a look on their end and find out what the heck is going on. Usually, at the point in which I'm checking with them, if it's been too long and then I check with them, within a week, everything clears up if we've been checking on it. Depending on the thing, though, if there's just a big legal backlog and they're saying they're answering them in the order in which they appeared, Sometimes we just have to hang back and wait for it to get there. The good thing, though, is that once we have the institution-signed SLA and I put in the requisition, we have that money reserved. So it is not going to disappear. We just need to make sure that everything's signed before we can pay it. That's all. Yeah, so just, keep in contact with me if something goes a little bit awry. Now, the invoices are the other part of this. So when we have the account set up and we have the purchase order, that's great, but we cannot pay anything until we have an invoice from the institution. Now, that is not an expense report. If you've got these big, long spreadsheets of everything that you've spent, we can't do anything with that. You need an invoice sent from your institution that gives the exact amount that needs to be sent to them with an invoice number on it and a date. It usually comes from the business office or the grants office, sometimes from the research office too, at Georgia Tech. That sometimes is where it's coming from. We then take that, we send it to accounts payable in a thing called a payment request. They pay it through electronic payments through ACH. Whoever is receiving it on the end of the institution has to look at that thing, see that it's that payment, and then assign it to the account. So every so often, Board of Regents things get lumped in together, and they're like, we're looking for a payment for $30,000, and yet we've got a thing in here for 65. Well, it turns out one's 5, one's 2, one is 10. Like that gets a little bit complicated. So again, if anything gets hung up, if somebody can't find something, let me know. We can figure it out very easily, especially through the dates in which everything was filed. Now, the semester status report, that is just for transformation grants, folks. For continuous improvement grants, folks, you are not doing the implementation, piloting, course revision stuff. You are building resources, improving resources. That's really cool. We will see you at the final report. But with the semester status reports, we want to make sure that the transformation processes do that. Invoicing has not changed, Dr. Nuzlak. It depends on the institution, though. Some of them will send it right before. Some of them will, yeah, I don't think the invoicing process has changed, that's for sure. Yeah, so this is just a basic check, and it's a Google form. The link is always on the Grants Information Center. Once again, please bookmark that link. And we ask a lot of questions here, but they're all pretty basic. It's how's it going? Who are you? What's the project that you're reporting on? Because sometimes you are on multiple projects and we don't know which one you're talking about. Have there been changes in personnel? Have there been changes in the impact estimates? How's the redesign going? How's the review going? Any other questions? Catch-all stuff. Semester status report is pretty chill. There's not much here where you have to grind in a bunch of numbers. There is a part that says list of materials. If you're using a whole load of materials and you've got them listed in D2L or in Word, just get them in a Word document and send them to me and we can link it from there. Now, the final reports are submitted at the end of the final semester of your project. This is why it's so important that your final semester is correct on the SLA. That is the time in which you send the final report. The final report is what triggers us being able to pay the second invoice. So make sure that when you look at the SLA that final semester is correct. All the final report links are available on the Grants Information Center, everything from the template to the way that you submit these forms. There is one for transformation and there is one for continuous improvement. Transformation, folks, you are doing some quantitative and qualitative measures that are required. Continuous improvement, folks, you may be doing quantitative and qualitative measures, and that's great, but it's not required, so they vary a little bit. If you have a continuous improvement grant and you decide to use the transformation form, you're going to get a little bit confused when we start talking about impact and savings data. We are trying to end this at 3, Dr. Lamb. So, yep, we want to make sure that your time is respected here. So today we are not going to walk through the final report, transformation, and continuous improvement. But again, look at the Grants Information Center for those templates. You'll see them there and you'll know exactly what you have to report on for the rest of the time. And oh, yep, and I just pasted it there right as Dr. Boltonaro asked for it. I think we were on the same psychic wavelength there. An invoice is required for the final payment. However, it is not required when you submit the final report because institutions are different. So when you submit the final report, if your institution needs proof that you submitted it, that's okay. You can do that and your institution will send us an invoice. But yeah, a second invoice with a new date and a new invoice number is required for final payment. That didn't used to be the case. We used to just have one invoice for both, and we could pay the first half of the invoice, pay the second half of the invoice. Well, now there's something where auditors will check to see if we have turned around every invoice within 30 days at different business offices. And because of that, they're taking a look at these old invoices from a year ago and going, what the heck is going on here? The business office explained it and it was fine, but they would like to not explain it. So now we have an invoice for the initial and an invoice for the final. It makes paperwork a little bit easier, actually. When you're submitting your final report for transformation, folks, you need that Word document. That is the template. You'll see it right on the page. You'll need your syllabi with links to the materials that you're using so that it's a blueprint for everybody else out there. Optional photo of your team or class. It used to be required. It is not required, especially now with COVID. A second invoice if you have it. If not, they can send it afterwards. For continuous improvement, you just need the Word document and your materials. When you're sending materials, if they're smaller than 30 megabytes, you can usually just attach them in the form. If not, just send them over in an email. Link them in your final report document on the Word thing if you have a Google folder or a Dropbox folder. That makes it so much easier for us too. The method of getting us the materials doesn't matter so much. Once we have them, we can host them over on OpenALG. If you have a LibGuide, you can do it that way. Campus website, same thing. If you are sending a photo, don't just kind of cram your tiny headshots together. That winds up looking very weird on a display. Just, take one big photo of your group. Most smartphones do a pretty good job of that nowadays. So the upcoming reporting deadlines, these are on the Grants Information Center. This is just like the it's on the syllabus kind of thing where inevitably someone will forget that it's there. We'll just send you the Grants Information Center link at that point. These tend to be right at the end of each semester. We'll be adding you to the listserv. If we are sending something directly just to your round, it will have R19 in brackets at the beginning. If not, it'll just say all or for anybody. This is just so we can get announcements out there for all of the grantees, including opportunities like ways to share your work at different conferences if they come up. Now, of course, if you have personal questions, don't send them out to the listserv because then nobody else will be able to answer those. Just send them right to me and to Tiffany. So that is it from me. I told you I'd get out of here on time. We can't wait to see what happens next with all these projects. The conversations that we were having in both rooms were excellent. Please contact us. It's taking a while to animate this. But yeah, I'm at jeff.galan@usg.edu and Tiffany is at tiffany.reardon@usg.edu. We won't kick you out right now, but you can leave if you would like. Thank you so much. But yes, we are going to linger around for a few more questions. So Dr. Nowitzki, go right ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I don't know how many people this applies to, but when putting the proposal together, I took your advice and we reached out to University of North Georgia Press. So I was wondering if you could shed any light on how those finances work. So they confirmed that we don't need an SLA with them because it's fee for service. So should that money be going to one of the institutions and then to UNG, or is it coming directly from ALG's office to them?
So it kind of depends on what UNG and the institution can work out. What I'm hearing from you and probably from UNG is that they can be brought in as a contractor from your institution. So the funds come in from you, and then they are paid out to UNG. But I'm not sure. So if you want to get in contact with BJ over at the UNG Press about what they need, that's fine. Sometimes we've had, when we have institutional collaborations where it's two different institutions, we'll have an SLA for both. So yeah, whatever she's got in mind there, the preferred one is to not have two SLAs because that's just way less signatures to manage. But if we do need it, we can do it that way too.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds if anyone else wants to ask questions, but so we have one SLA for GSU, one for UGA, and then again, BJ said that we don't need one, but I guess I'm assuming that the money should be going to one of our institutions from what you just said.
It's going, yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on if your institution is okay with saying they're contractors and we are going to pay them funds that come from this, or if they're saying, no, we'd rather have separate agreements. It kind of depends on the institution. For instance, one of the grants that we had before was with ABAC, and they brought in a UGA person as a consultant because they had done something like this before. ABAC paid them as a consultant out of the funds that we sent to ABAC. So that was pretty clean on our end, but not every institution wants to do it that way. So yeah. So involve me on that email.
Ask our business office.
Yeah, and include me on the email so that that I know what's going on too, because I'm going to be the one drafting the SLAs. If we need to break it out, we could totally do that too.
Okay, so just right after the meeting, probably as soon as possible.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Muting.
No problem. Thanks. I'm looking in the chat to see. Hello.
Can you see the fact that I raised my hand? I have a question.
Oh, I have a 1 up near participants. It's not as good as Zoom when it shows you whose hand is raised.
Oh, I could see a little hand next to your face.
Now I can see it.
So when you said that half of the money is sent in this first invoice and half is sent in the second invoice, that made me think, so what if there is an item in the budget that we plan to spend money on during the year of the grant? Does that mean we don't get the money to pay for it until the second invoice?
I think you'll probably need to check with your business office on this. It depends on, and I hate saying it depends on the institution over and over again, but it kind of does. Some institutions, when they see that you are awarded a grant, they are going to set up an account for you that has all of the funds, and we will pay them 50% and then 50% through those invoices. And they set up a line of credit that way so that they're able to cover all of the costs that go throughout the grant, and that accountability is still managed through the 50-50 split. That still does depend on the institution though. So if your business office can't do that and it's getting in the way of the project, let us know, because that's a weird thing that we'll have to manage for sure.
Okay. Because yeah, there might be a cash flow problem, and I wondered if there was a mechanism in place for resolving that.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be that'll be on an institutional basis, but we'll figure it out somehow. The first thing is to get in contact with whoever is dealing with your business or grants office on the project and see if that's possible, if they're running a line of credit for the whole thing. If they're not, and this is going to be a funding problem because of the amount that it costs to do this before the end, then we'll try to work it out from there.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, do you want me to go ahead and stop recording, or?
Yeah, we can do that at this point. So for those of you who are listening right now, if you have any questions, please contact us at jeff.gallant@usg.edu and tiffany.reardon@usg.edu, and we'll get right back to you. Thank you.